On KSAT12 News at noon, the frightening confrontation a Helotes homeowner had with two people attempting to steal his car.
And what President Biden is vowing to do if any NATO countries are attacked by Russia or China.
And we're already in the low 80s. We're going to be in the upper 80s, near 90 this afternoon. A high fire danger for parts of the area, too. We'll take a look at the forecast coming up.
Live from KSAT12, the news at noon starts right now.
New at noon, San Antonio police asking for your help in identifying two cars.
They're involved in a shooting. Take a look. They appear to be a black Honda CRV, the other a dark gray Chrysler 300. According to police, this video evidence from a Whataburger on Southwest Loop 410 and Petite Jourdain Freeway. Police say the two vehicles were seen speeding off after someone was shot. Lorenzo Perez Bravo shot after what was believed to have been an altercation at that restaurant last month. Bravo drove away from the scene and crashed his truck shortly afterward. He then died from his injuries. Police are asking you to send in your tips if you recognize these vehicles. You can call Crime Stoppers at 210-224-STOP.
Also new at noon, the Bexar County Sheriff's Office is asking for your help identifying these two people. They are accused of shooting a homeowner during an attempted car burglary in Helotes. And deputies say the homeowner confronted these two when they were trying to steal his car. The suspects threatened the homeowner with a gun, and that's when he pulled out his gun. A shootout began between the suspect thieves and the homeowner, but as far as we know, no one was hit. If you recognize these people, you're asked to call BCSO Criminal Investigation Division at 210-355-6070. Downtown living and working for years now has been a test of patience as construction and renovation projects block streets and business access. But there's a method to the seemingly madness.
And while you can't see it completely yet, the plan underway will make downtown San Antonio a full-on neighborhood. At least that is the plan. Max Massey with answers to the questions we have about where the center of the city is headed and when will this transformation be completed.
Downtown 2.0, the next evolution of downtown, and we're in that right now.
The heart of downtown San Antonio, or as Matt Brown refers to it, the business district, is on the rise, metaphorically and literally.
The future is this really fully complete downtown.
And here on Broadway, we have seen so much construction over the years. Not only is it for practical reasons, but it's also for beautification. Here's the thing, all of it should be done by this June.
The vast majority of what's going on is functional and enhancing the quality of life for the people working and living downtown. So you get wider sidewalks, which are much nicer to walk on.
This overarching plan really revolves around people living, working, and playing downtown. And if you drive around town, you may notice some empty spaces, empty storefronts.
Some of the retail spaces are empty and they're slowly coming back in. Voodoo Donuts, Double Standard, Sojourn. I mean, Chick-fil-A's coming, right? Like, they're coming back, but it's going to take a while.
To help fill the storefronts, promote San Antonio companies, and prop up local business owners, there's a program now in place through pop-up shops.
Another pop-up series is going to come up in this spring, and we're hoping over time that we can just have a permanent location where we're just constantly bringing in entrepreneurs, letting them test drive retail, and then get them into retail around downtown. So that's the way we can partner with the property owners and go, well, you've got a spot. We have some possible entrepreneurs.
In terms of living downtown, Matt says there is a huge demand and the supply is growing fast.
But look at 300 Main. Like, I feel like every day a new floor on that apartment building goes up. And that's going to be hundreds of apartments, right? And hundreds of people live in downtown. And the ground floor, I know, they'll have cool shops and restaurants and bars.
We are growing population-wise, and with more companies, more students, and more families comes more apartments.
Next 5 years, I think we're in the 5,000 to 10,000 unit range if everything comes online. We forecast a need for housing upwards to 100,000 people downtown over the next, say, decade to 15 years.
All in all, Matt and Centro San Antonio have big plans for the city, and right now the sky is the limit.
The future of downtown is going to be a complete neighborhood.
Max Massey, KSAT12 News.
President Biden now wrapping up his 4-day trip to Europe, one day after that fiery speech in Poland. Biden meeting with Eastern European leaders in a show of support for Ukraine.
Meantime, President Putin met with China's top diplomat today. ABC's Lindsay Watts is in Washington with the latest on these high-stakes meetings.
Today, President Biden meeting with the so-called Bucharest Nine, which includes Hungary, Romania, and the Czech Republic, countries on the front lines of Ukraine's defense.
Because what literally is at stake is not just Ukraine, it's freedom.
Biden saying Putin's aggression has only made NATO stronger.
The idea that over 100,000 forces would invade another country after a war since World War II, nothing like that has happened.
Russia's year-long invasion of Ukraine has Eastern Europe on high alert, prompting fears Putin could target those countries next if he's successful in Ukraine.
We will defend literally every inch of NATO.
The gathering happening in Warsaw, Poland, where Biden spoke yesterday, calling out Putin directly.
President Putin's craven lust for land and power will fail.
In Moscow today, Putin met with China's top diplomat. Putin saying that Russian-Chinese relations are moving forward, developing, and reaching new frontiers. The meeting only heightening concerns. China will provide weapons to help Russia's invasion of Ukraine. This all coming as U.S. officials tell ABC News, in recent days, Russia tested a long-range ballistic missile capable of reaching the U.S. It appears the launch failed, and officials say Russia did notify the U.S. in advance of the test. Russia has announced it's suspending participation in the last remaining nuclear arms pact with the U.S. meant to reduce nuclear weapons. Biden reacting to that earlier today, calling it a, quote, big mistake. Lindsay Watts, ABC News, Washington.
Back here at home, days after a viral street takeover in Austin, San Antonio officials are now responding, saying, not in our city. Mayor Ron Nirenberg says when he saw the Austin video on Twitter, he got in contact with SAPD Chief William McManus to make sure the same wouldn't happen here. In a statement, SAPD writes, quote, our SAPD Street Crimes Unit takes the lead on takeover meets. Along with our traffic unit officers, we utilize all resources, including helicopters, to coordinate a response and keep the public safe.
We don't take this lightly. It is a danger to the public. It's a danger to the police officers themselves. So we want to make sure that they have proper support.
SAPD's statement says it is illegal to block police or other emergency responders' paths. Doing so can result in a felony level offense, and your vehicle can be seized. There was a car takeover in mid-January on Interstate 10 at Callahan Road. It led to multiple crashes and shots fired. Police said no witnesses cooperated with the investigation, though.
Still ahead, a winter storm threatening your travel plans. How many flights have already been canceled today?
And coming up later in sports, we're in a week into the season, and already some front office moves for the Brahmas. While the league says this won't impact future business plans.
After the break, what police say led to one man fighting for his life in the hospital. One small mistake could cost a Northeast Side man his life. San Antonio police say that he accidentally shot himself at his apartment at Loop 410 and Perrin Bidle.
As Katrina Weber tells us, police say it may have happened while he was cleaning his gun.
Soon after a neighbor at the Alamo Oaks Apartments opened his door, San Antonio police were opening a shooting investigation. That neighbor called them to the complex near Loop 410 and Perrin Bidle after getting a knock on his door before 7 this morning. A man in his 60s was asking for help. Police say he was bleeding from a gunshot wound in his belly, the result of what they believe may have been an accident. They say the neighbor told them the wounded man, who lives across from him, has a collection of guns and may have pulled the trigger while cleaning one of them. Police say there was one other person in the apartment when this happened, a relative who told them he was asleep at the time and didn't hear anything. Investigators roped off the area, hoping to get a clear look at all the evidence. The man who was shot was rushed to a hospital. Police were not sure then whether he would survive. Katrina Weber, KSAT12 News.
Taking a live look outside with live cam. Oh my goodness, could we beat yesterday's beautiful day?
Well, we're going to be hotter today. That much I can tell you. A little drier, a little windy too. So we're worried about some fire weather this afternoon. The aquifer is still dropping. We need some rain. It's actually staying steady today. It's at 637.2, but it's not a great number. In your pollen count, look at this list. Molds and ash jumped up at the moderate today. Mountain cedar shows back up for whatever reason. Hackberry, mulberry, elm, all there. We'll talk about this hot weather, how long it's going to last, what does the weekend look like, some ups and downs in the forecast. We have the latest straight ahead.
Right now, a woman found dead in the middle of a street on the south side is causing quite a puzzle. At first, police thought that she was hit by a car, a victim of a hit and run, but now they're not so sure. Police say the woman was found around 1:30 this morning, lying in the middle of South Zarzamora near West Ansley Boulevard. Officials say the woman had some kind of injury to her head, so they're waiting for an autopsy report to determine if that may have had anything to do with how she died. If it turns out the wound to that woman's head was what caused her death, then police are going to have to begin a whole different kind of investigation.
San Antonio police also investigating after a man shot dead in a Walmart parking lot. It happened just before 11 last night near I-37 and Southeast Military Drive. This is in a busy part of town. Several stores nearby, including a Target and H-E-B, many restaurants. Police say they are now checking all the surveillance cameras to get a better idea of what happened. So far, there are no suspects.
Tonight, we're continuing our series, Fighting Fentanyl. The synthetic opioid has caused a crisis, and unfortunately, it's affecting our children. One local school district is seeing it up close. The Hayes Consolidated Independent School District is confirming that at least 4 students there have died after overdosing on fentanyl since last summer. Tonight, Stefania Jimenez shows us what staff members and administrators in the district are doing to keep students there safe. Tune in and see that story tonight on the Night Beat.
If you are traveling by air over the next couple of days, you need to check your flight. Winter storms causing some headaches for travelers. A powerful coast-to-coast storm impacting much of the western and northern states. More than 500 flights have already been canceled for today. That's on top of the 300 plus canceled yesterday. Travel plans not expected to go any easier for those flying out later this week either. So far here in San Antonio, the only canceled flights were going to Minneapolis. Flight delays and cancellations expected to increase tomorrow.
All right.
Ooh.
Big question. We're expecting wind.
Right.
It's already dry.
Yep.
And so that's a fire danger, correct?
Correct.
But it's only going to be for a short period of time.
Well, this afternoon it peaks. We'll see moisture come back in tonight, so that helps. But it's this afternoon that we got to watch pretty closely, and it's mainly west of San Antonio. But then again, it's dry pretty much everywhere at this point, so we've got to be careful no matter where you live. Let me show you the dew point. And these numbers have been falling off so very quickly. We got a westerly wind now after a little bit of rain this morning, and I mean a little bit. We registered a trace at the airport. That was it. The dry air is surged in from the west. Now we're seeing dew points tumble into the 50s, eventually 40s. The air is going to get very dry this afternoon. And you see the dew points out west. Del Rio, the dew point is at 22. That is very, very dry air. And therein lies the problem, because you combine it with wind gusts and you've got a problem. 24 miles per hour, I should say. The latest wind gust there in Kerrville, gusting to 29 at Rock Springs, gusting to 29 at Hondo. So the wind's starting to pick up here around San Antonio. Stronger gusts out west of Del Rio. These numbers may pick up a little bit and should here for the next couple of hours. But we're seeing gusts close to 25 here in San Antonio at this hour. And the Futurecast wind gust shows that, yeah, this afternoon we could see some gusts 30 to 35 in some cases. And we'll take until tonight for that wind to really die down. We'll still see some gusts maybe around 20, 25 at 5 o'clock, but I think after that the wind speeds will calm some. Here's a look at the fire danger today. And you go west of San Antonio and you run to extreme to very high fire danger. The risk is there. We know how dry it's been. Grass fires will spread quickly, but even here in San Antonio, we're under a high fire danger today, so we just got to be careful. And a look at the temperatures. It's also hot on top of everything else. Upper 80s is what we're forecasting here in San Antonio. There will be some 90s on the map. 92 in Pleasanton, 91 in Pearsall, 93 in Carrizo Springs. And right now, we're already looking at 83 here in San Antonio. West-southwesterly winds at about 11. As I mentioned, that dew point is falling. We have that wind gust close to 25. Any sort of cloud cover is quickly pushed east now to around Houston. So the entire area, minus a few very thin high clouds right there, is looking at clear skies. So full sun today. And as we look at the big picture here, there's a lot going on. We have a tornado watch box now for the St. Louis area as the storm system that brought us that thin line of showers this morning pushes east. Severe weather possible here. You see the dip in the jet stream. So this is where all the cold stuff is. Denver, Rapid City, Dakotas, Minneapolis, and then south of there you get very warm and moist air. There's quite a contrast, and we've been talking about this most of the week, but it really is pretty incredible to see the numbers. It's -7 in Cut Bank, Montana. You get down into Texas, and this is what we're forecasting today, upper 80s. So you see the difference between the high temperatures this afternoon. Even places like St. Louis are forecasting to be up around 73, while just north of there, Chicago, 36. That's it today. So the country is really kind of divided in half when it comes to temperatures, but we stay on the warm side of things, and that is the case going forward. So the KSAT 12-hour forecast today, 87 at 3 o'clock, 88 at 4 p.m., 88 at 5 o'clock, and we're still in the 80s at 7 o'clock, so it's going to be a warm evening. 60s by 10, 11, midnight. We'll start to add in some clouds after midnight because moisture starts to surge back in, and I think we could get some fog to start your Thursday morning. So just a heads up there. We start off with fog, and then we're up to 80 on your Thursday. Now, tomorrow we'll have a weak frontal boundary that tries to move in. It stalls over the area. That does cool us down some, and even more so on Friday as we add in clouds. We start off with some morning drizzle, only up to 70 on Friday. By the way, that's average temperature. 79 Saturday, 80 on Sunday. So the weekend will be warm, but we could see some damp mornings, followed by some mostly cloudy afternoons. There's also a small window for a shower coming up Sunday night into early Monday morning. But we clear out on Monday and Tuesday, and we're back close to 80. This is a warm forecast all in all, but today is our warmest day, and we're seeing those temperatures climb very quickly, guys.
We sure are. Thank you.
Coming up in sports, MSU basketball players take the court at home for the first time since that deadly campus shooting, while the head coach thinks these games will help everyone trying to move on. And the tough teams the UTSA going to face as they look forward to their new season in a new conference. Big news coming from the San Antonio Brahmas today. The Vice President of Business Operations, Michael Sheehan, no longer with the team. The announcement coming just a few days after the Brahmas home opener. As of right now, a reason not given. Also, as of now, no decision has been made on filling that vacant position, but officials from the league tell us there will be no changes in their business plans. Officials also saying the league is committed to San Antonio and the championship game and is well positioned for future growth. We are looking forward to week 2 of the season and all of our remaining games. After 10 years in Conference USA, the Roadrunners will begin play in the American Athletic Conference this season. UTSA will play 12 regular season games, including 8 American Athletic Conference games in their debut season in this conference. 4 at the Dome, 4 on the road. Each of the 14 teams in the American will play 8 conference games in 2023. UTSA will officially join the conference on July 1st. They will start off the season with 4 non-conference games. Their season opener is September 2nd at Houston. Then they'll host Texas State, Army following 2 weekends, and then will end their non-conference slate September 23rd at Tennessee. Ooh, brutal. 10-7. Look, they got Temple. And then it just gets more interesting from there. Tulane, AAC Conference Championship Flex game on the 2nd of December. The 24th and 25th of December is going to be interesting as well. Good luck this year. New conference, new teams. Michigan State basketball players returned to the court last night, and it was an emotional scene. This is the first time home game has been held since the mass shooting on campus that killed 3 students and hospitalized 5 others. Head coach Tom Izzo spoke after the game, filled with emotion. hoping to help the campus heal together.
You just want to make people feel comfortable, you know, and I thought, here's 1-2 hour period where maybe they forgot about all the things that they've had to deal with, and they got a chance to enjoy, and that's what sports sometimes can do. It doesn't take away all the pain, but it's like a little aspirin maybe for a couple hours.
Students filled the arena wearing Spartan Strong shirts and tattoos. On the front row, white shirts were placed on 8 seats for the 8 students who were shot. After an emotional pregame, the Spartans had a slow start, but they were able to come back and win that one against number 17 Indiana, 80-65.
Still ahead at 12:30, what airmen at Joint Base San Antonio are doing to help relief efforts in Turkey.
Plus, the unique instrument coming to one local music room in our area and how it is helping students learn in multiple ways.
COVID-19 restrictions at the border will remain in place for now. This week, the U.S. Supreme Court ordered Title 42 to continue while legal challenges play themselves out. The ruling allows the federal government to expel asylum seekers without hearing in some cases. The Trump administration instituted the rule in March of 2020 as a COVID-19 prevention measure. The Supreme Court decision leaves it in place while a lower court's ruling is appealed. That means federal officials will be able to continue quickly expelling migrants at the nation's border, at least for the next several months.
The roughly 7-month probe into Donald Trump's actions in Georgia after the 2020 election ended last week. Now, Georgia grand jury foreperson Emily Kohrs says the panel is recommending multiple indictments, some of which could lead to charges as soon as today.
The former president has repeatedly denied any wrongdoing regarding the matter and claims the investigation was politically biased. He also released a statement last week saying that he was exonerated by the grand jury.
If what he was talking about was our statement where we indicated that there was no evidence of widespread fraud or widespread vote fraud in the Georgia 2020 election, that might have been what he meant.
It's up to the Fulton County District Attorney to review the recommendations and make charging decisions.
In Russia, the Kremlin's staying quiet after a failed intercontinental ballistic missile test. Russian officials declined to comment after CNN reported a Russian missile appeared to have failed around the time President Joe Biden was in Ukraine. 2 U.S. officials confirmed the reports. One official said Russia notified the United States in advance of the launch through deconfliction lines. Russia's deputy foreign minister dismissed reporting about the apparent test failure as harmful misinformation. However, he did not provide proof for his claims.
Right now, demolition teams are clearing mounds of rubble from the devastation from that earthquake in Turkey and Syria. Meanwhile, emergency responders are scrambling to shelter all the survivors, many of whom were traumatized anew by Monday's magnitude 6.4 earthquake in Turkey's already badly battered province of Hatay. The quake killed 8 people in Turkey and Syria and demolished or damaged more buildings, leaving countless homeless. The combined death toll from the February 6th earthquake in both countries stands at right around 46,000 people, the vast majority of them in Turkey.
And help is coming from all over for those affected by those quakes, including right here in San Antonio. Airmen at JBSA, along with the Air Force Medical Readiness Agency, put together about 68 short tons of medical equipment to send overseas to help with relief efforts. The supplies were flown out early yesterday morning from Kelly Field.
The Environmental Protection Agency now ordering Norfolk Southern to pay up for cleanup efforts in Ohio after that massive rail derailment and toxic spill. The company will have to clean up contaminated soil and water. Norfolk Southern says that they are, quote, committed to thoroughly and safely cleaning up the site. And they say that they are reimbursing residents for disruption that this has caused to their lives. Though Norfolk Southern is on the hook for all of the cleanup costs, East Palestine Mayor Trent Conway is calling for President Biden's trip and announcement for aid for Ukraine as a slap in the face.
We don't want to be political pawns. We don't want, we don't want to be a soundbite or a news bite. We just want to go back to living our lives.
Overnight, the president made several calls from Poland to officials managing the crisis on the ground, including the governors of Ohio and Pennsylvania. The mayor of East Palestine was not on that list.
Two massive storms moving across the country with nearly the entire country on alerts from California to Connecticut. 160 million Americans under strong winds, blizzard, avalanche danger, and ice alerts. Some communities bracing for a possible blizzard tonight.
Coast to coast, 43 states are on winter storm alerts, with two massive storms plowing their way east. An unusual blizzard warning in the mountains just outside of Los Angeles, the first in Southern California in more than 20 years. While Minnesota, no stranger to big snow, activating the National Guard. Officials urging people to stay off the roads. Travel expected to be impossible, with more snow falling on top of what's already there.
Wind gusts are going to be near 50 miles an hour. It is going to be impossible travel conditions.
ABC's Mireya Villarreal in Salt Lake City, Utah.
What is coming down on us right now, all of this snow, it has been snowing for 12 hours straight.
State employees told to stay home today. Authorities issuing an avalanche warning, which comes after 3 hikers were killed in Washington state after being swept 500 feet down a mountain Sunday. In South Dakota's Rapid City, plows out in force trying to keep up with the heavy snowfall. This plow pushing a trailer off the road in North Dakota while this white Suburban spun out. In California, in the Bay Area, winds taking down power lines and damaging homes. Down in Texas, winds kicked up dust, reducing visibility to nearly zero.
And here in the Northeast, we are not in the clear with winter storm warnings from upstate New York to New England, with an icy mix possible from Pennsylvania to Connecticut. Rena Roy, ABC News, New York.
Little dusty out there in West Texas, huh?
Uh-huh.
Not here.
Not here.
Look at
Clear
that.
as a bell here.
Considering what we just saw, we're in a pretty good shape here in South Texas. There's a lot of wild weather across the country, and it's going to be wild through much of today. Our big story is going to be the heat. Temperatures will be up close to 90, but other than that, and some gusty winds, we don't have to contend with a lot of the stuff the rest of the country is dealing with at this hour. I want to show you a great picture on our KSAT Connect. Man, this is cool. This is Milo. He just wants to go outside and play. Can you blame him? It's a great day for it. Puppies want to get outside, go for a walk. It's a little warm, I suppose, but yeah, it's a good day, sunny day, and we appreciate the picture as always. Send them in to our KSAT Connect. You can do that on the KSAT weather app. Temperatures across the state right now. Look at Laredo, 87, 63 in Amarillo with a cold front on their doorstep. But most of the state today is going to be fairly toasty, especially the further south you go. We're already at 87 in Corpus Christi, 83 here, and on the rise. Upper 80s a good bet this afternoon. Some places will touch 90 in our viewing area. Right now, we've got a few thin high clouds. Other than that, 83 degrees, a falling dew point of 51 with west-southwesterly winds at 11, gusting to 25. So winds are beginning to pick up. And we are close to 90. Places like Pleasanton, where it's 87, 83 in Bandera, 83 right now in Uvalde, in mid-80s here around Bexar County. 86 at 2 o'clock, 87 3 p.m. There's our high temperature of 88. And then tonight, still fairly warm. We're in the 60s as we head into the midnight hour, but we will see some fog and slightly cooler temperatures coming up tomorrow. We'll look at that forecast along with some very, very small rain chances coming up here in just a few minutes, guys.
Thank you, Justin. Some of the original cast of Star Trek heading to space. At least their DNA is making the journey. And you could join them. So part of you can live long and prosper.
Local students expanding their musical knowledge by getting to know a new instrument with African roots. So a teacher was able to introduce the new sound to his students.